So if you didn't see the video that I did on these are the sticker burr rollers. These are absolutely cool. These are the type that you can connect to a lawnmower or tractor or probably a bunch of other stuff. You can pull behind you and you can daisy chain a ton of these. In the video where I introduced these, we had like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them connected. 3 back here and 1 up here. And you can even put them so they're all in a direct line behind each other if you have a ton of them that you want to get up. But essentially the way this works is, this is a foam roller right here and a mesh net that captures the sticker burrs, and then it deposits them into this area right here by running them over this piece of steel that essentially pops them back out and puts them in here. Now you're going to pick up some grass and some other stuff, but overwhelmingly you're going to have sticker burrs. I mean, the vast majority of stuff in here is going to be sticker burrs, even though it's kind of buried in some of that stuff. But this thing works absolutely great. I just made a few passes this morning just to see how well it would work. And again, if you didn't watch the video on this, go back and check it out, especially if you suffer with sticker burrs, goat heads, sand spurs, all the stuff that that really gets stuck to your feet, your shoes, and can make your yard really a sad place. They make one that you can push by hand as well. They actually have 2 of them you can push by hand, a smaller one and a larger one, and I'll put a link in the description if this is stuff you're interested in. But this is a godsend. This is a miracle invention that's going to make our life out here a lot easier whenever we want to have the kids go play in the yard and, you know, not come back completely covered in sticker burrs and sand spurs. Anyways, just wanted to give you a quick update on these. Very cool. I keep them in this configuration so they track right behind the tractor, and they work really well. Again, super cool invention. So this is a video that I really shouldn't have to make, but unfortunately, I think sometimes you have to make videos talking about things that you don't really want to have to deal with. And as long as there's bad folks out there and there's folks who will always try to find a dishonest way to conduct themselves, you have to worry about these things. And I just really wish that people were less like this. That said, I received an email from a subscriber that asked me if I knew about the recent rash of taillight theft on higher trim trucks, specifically Super Duty and F-150 that have LED taillights with the lane departure radar built into them. So I've known about this. I've known about this for a while, and I've taken steps to help mitigate the chance that something like that could happen to me. I'm going to go over some of those steps, but I'm not actually going to show the process of how thieves actually take the taillights. I'm just going to show you what I've done to combat it. Again, this isn't a video that I should have to make. It's just one of those things that I know impacts a lot of folks, and the last thing you want to do is, you know, be at church or eating with your family at a restaurant or going to a movie and then come out just to find that some lowlife has stolen the lights out of your vehicle because they can't find a normal job that pays an honest income, so they don't have to do this type of stuff. And I hate to say it, I know it's desperate folks, or it's just folks who realize that they can make a lot of money or whatever. I don't know. I just know that this is one of those crimes that that's a really hurtful crime, because people who buy trucks spend a lot of money on them. They want to be able to enjoy them, and they don't want to have to worry about somebody opportunistically coming up and trying to steal their lights. That said, again, it primarily impacts folks that have LED lights on their vehicle and radar cruise control built in, because it is something that they could sell for a lot of money on the side. That said, the steps I've done, I'm just, again, going to broadly go over them. I'm not going to go over them in too much depth, just because there's these and more that I've actually taken. So one of the ways people typically access the lights to get to the screws on the side, which I actually have some parts coming in that will prevent some of that here tomorrow, but they'll actually remove part of the panel right here. They'll reach in there and they will trigger the gate to open so they can access the bolts to remove the lights. Now, you probably can see that these aren't the factory bolts that come on the truck, and that I've added some as well, and they're all varying in size and security type. So again, I'm not going to get too close to them because I don't really need people seeing specifically what I'm using, but just as an example of something that I did, I used all sorts of different types of fasteners with different types of locking mechanisms kind of built into them. Secondly, I took two pieces actually of hardened stainless steel. So this stainless steel is so hard that it's actually difficult to bend without a vise and a large pair of pliers. It is incredibly difficult to bend, and it's incredibly difficult to cut. It took me about 10 to 15 minutes with a drill bit specifically designed to cut through hardened stainless steel to actually get through it it with tons of smoke and everything else. And basically what I did was I removed these rods right here, which are used to latch onto the tailgate. I removed them and I drilled a hole and I threaded these through. So from the back side now, you can't actually get to the latching mechanism at all. It's completely covered by those panels and it presses right up against this area. So it would make it even more increasingly difficult. Third, I actually opened this section right here and I armored the piece that you would use to actually trigger the tailgate to open. So I didn't buy the parts. I know that you can go on eBay and Amazon and some other places and buy the parts, but I wanted to see what was going on and I wanted to do it myself. And I might make some video on this later, but I essentially opened this up. I took the same hardened stainless steel and I created a shell that goes around the triggering mechanism that actually opens up the tailgate. The final thing I'm going to do, and this is just something I'm going to do as a precautionary step, is I'm replacing the bolts right here with bolts that have a very, very unique locking mechanism built into them. So it's one actually that the only time I've seen it, it was used on a safe, on the inside of the safe. And once you put them in, unless you have a very, very specific tool, there's no way to take those bolts out. And then the last step, and this is one that was just kind of fun for me, I took the taillight out and I wrote stolen all over it. So it literally looks like a Louis Vuitton bag with the word stolen written all over them. Again, just because the majority of folks who take these out are going to try to sell them. They're not going to put them in their own vehicle. And if it's marked with stolen with a urethane-based paint marker, all over them, both of them, it's going to be a lot harder for someone to take them out and sell them, especially considering they'll probably have to break the tabs to get the light out in the first place. I just hope that I've reduced the chance that my truck is a target of opportunity, and I'm just taking a few steps. All of these steps took me probably about 2 hours to completely do. You know, a few weeks ago I said, you know what, I'm just going to go out on the weekend and knock all this stuff out, and I've had these things in place for a while now, but it's, you know, been something that gives me more peace of mind, and I think that that's probably important for a lot of folks. Whether you buy the kits you can buy off Amazon, whether you make them yourself, I would just recommend taking steps. It's not that your insurance won't cover it, it's that if your insurance does cover it, they're going to have to probably replace part of your tailgate, they're going to have to probably replace both lights and maybe even some wiring harnesses. And I've seen the bill total over $5,500. Yes, $5,500. Even though these lights only cost a little over $1,000 a piece, I say only costs, but even though these lights cost around $1,100, let's say each, if you go through insurance, it's going to end up costing like upwards of $5,000. Because you'll probably have to replace part of this area as well. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to create this video. I know there's a lot of folks that watch the channel that have a Super Duty or an F-150, and I hope this crime hasn't impacted you. If it has, I would definitely recommend taking some steps to prevent it from happening again, or at least reduce the chance that it could happen again. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.